Al tercer día de oscuridad total, el cuerpo cree que está uno muerto.
Descubrir el poder de self-pleasure.
La idea, por ejemplo, de la eyaculación precoz es una idea totalmente humana.
Que ella me esté haciendo el sexo oral a mí y me esté estimulando y masturbando, y mientras yo te observo que tú la penetres a ella.
La segunda temporada del podcast de Karina Velasco con el tema de tabú. En él hablaremos de todas esas conversaciones que han sido prohibidas, de las que nadie habla, pero que todos queremos saber. Hola, hola a todos. Y me han preguntado acerca de El futuro del sexo, este libro que ya tenemos en línea y accesible para todos ustedes. ¿Y qué tiene que ver el sexo con lo que realmente enseñamos en Your Orgasmic? Y la puerta de entrada es el sexo, porque cuando cambiamos la forma en que vemos al sexo, que ha sido algo, pues ya que lo han posesionado de una forma antinatural, y regresarlo a esta perspectiva natural que el sexo es vida y que venimos del sexo, podemos como derrumbar todas estas creencias y estos tabús que me alejan de descubrir la esencia de la verdadera sexualidad, que es esta energía de vida creadora que por milenios me ha llevado a rejuvenecer, a sanar, a transformar, a comunicar, a empatizar, a conectar, a ser creativo con los demás. Y el futuro del sexo precisamente es esta guía, es este caminito, este recorrido donde empieza desde el sexo, pero donde vas a descubrir quién eres en plenitud y en libertad para poder crear la vida que en verdad quieres crear y no la que ha sido impuesta o la vida que has creado por tantos miedos. Y por eso la educación es tan importante, y a todos ustedes les pido que se den esta oportunidad de descubrir el futuro del sexo conmigo y con Lawrence. Puedes conseguirlo ya en Amazon y en Apple Books. Hola, hola. Bienvenidos al podcast de Karina Velasco en esto que es tabú. Y hoy es un privilegio y un honor tener una mujer que admiro mucho. Tuve la oportunidad de conocerla en Tulum hace algunos años, de acompañarla en estos cursos magníficos de energía sexual, de energía orgásmica. Y pues es reconocida mundialmente, es una maestra, es sanadora y pues ha abierto la posibilidad de experimentar la energía orgásmica de una forma sanadora como muy pocos maestros que conozco. Y por eso, a pesar de que hablo un poco español, pero hicimos este podcast en inglés, vale la pena que lo escuchen, que si no hablan el idioma, le digan a alguno de sus amigos que les haga la traducción, porque es esencial que conozcan a esta mujer. Y Sasha Cobra, para que la conozcan un poco más, es una maestra reconocida mundialmente, sanadora, terapeuta energética que se enfoca en la espiritualidad y la sexualidad. Se le conoce internacionalmente por la forma única en la que usa la energía orgásmica para sanar y elevar la conciencia. A 10 años de practicar su trabajo, ha ayudado a víctimas de trauma a recuperar sus vidas. Es experta en disfunción sexual, trauma sexual y el amor consciente. Tiene más de 10,000 clientes en 50 países, incluyendo terapeutas sexuales, coaches, maestros y celebridades. Después de haber trabajado con hombres por 8 años, oficialmente ahora lo hace con mujeres. Comparte su sabiduría a través de talleres, retiros y sesiones privadas por todo el mundo y la pueden conectar y conocer más en SashaCobra.com. Es un gusto tener aquí a Sasha. Comenzamos. Hello, my dear Sasha.
Hello.
It's so
Hey,
nice.
Cari.
It's so nice to talk to you from the other side of the world. Y para todos los que nos escuchan, va a ser un podcast básicamente en inglés, porque Sasha se expresa mucho mejor en inglés y lo que tiene que decir es tan
Claro.
importante que quiero que lo entiendan muy bien y ya después le pidan a alguien que les haga la traducción, pero si no hablan inglés, sientan su energía, vale la pena. Listen from the body wisdom, escuchen desde su cuerpo. Y hoy vamos a hablar de un tema muy interesante. We're going to talk about a very interesting thing, but it's not a thing. That's what we think it is. We think it's a thing, which is orgasm and orgasmic energy. But first of all, Sasha, it's such an honor to have you here. I love your work. I love what you're doing in the world. And I've had a chance to meet you personally, connect with you, be in a couple of your workshops, helping you with a camera at that time. And it's just amazing what you do. And I want people to know you, to feel you, and to understand your approach to sexuality and orgasmic energy in a healing modality. I think that's where we need to shift our mindset. So if you would tell people that have just this definition of orgasm in their minds, how would you describe orgasmic energy or orgasm?
So we have a very skewed idea about orgasm because our idea of orgasm is just what we relate to when we think of clitoral orgasm and the great performances that we see in porn videos, or a Hollywood movie. And basically that idea is something that lasts for a few seconds. What we don't recognize or realize is that we're really being robbed of our sexual nature and our sexual expression, having such a limited belief about what we're capable of as humans, whose birthright is pleasure. So orgasmicness, and I'll speak about it from a couple of angles. Orgasmicness is our state of being. It is the aliveness that ricochets through our bodies. I oftentimes even say that some of the most orgasmic beings on this planet are children. Now, what do I mean by that? They're bubbling with life. They laugh because they're just overjoyed. Why? For no reason. They're overjoyed to be alive. And what we see in porn and what we see in Hollywood and the ideas that we have about orgasm is apparently a few seconds of pleasure, totally missing on the state of pleasure of being alive, just like the pleasure that children experience running under the rain, walking through wet grass, having the pleasure of the body and the sensuality of the body, the senses of the body. And so orgasmicness,
yeah.
Orgasmicness is the energy that runs through us. Now, what does that mean? Am I only talking about the state of aliveness? Well, no, I'm also including a lot of sexual pleasure, a lot of sensual pleasure, including what we call as these peak type of orgasms. But the two experiences should never be divided. And that's what we oftentimes see when we watch porn or we talk to our girlfriends, for example, about their sexual experiences. It's that we think that we're running toward a few seconds of pleasure rather than being orgasmic through the whole experience. And I'm not just talking about the whole experience leading up to peak and valley orgasms throughout, but then how do we even extend that out into our day-to-day life? So orgasmicness is energy that runs through the body freely. And those orgasmic waves is what creates ecstatic and blissful experiences for us. Now, when we look at our society, we look at humans as we experience ourselves nowadays, and orgasmicness is definitely a rarity for most people to have as our natural state of being. And why is that? Well, our bodies are not open and energy is not flowing through our bodies freely. So to have pleasure, we have to feel. We have to allow for energy to move through our body. And orgasmicness is the remedy and the healing modality to bring our bodies back into a natural state where orgasmicness becomes a norm. So let me try to explain that a little bit. If orgasmicness is energy that is moving through the body freely, Well, what will be the experience if that energy is moving through a blocked body? And I think of the body as this vehicle that has many tunnels in it, right? We have all these different energy channels. Well, for me, energy is like water. And if that water was to be flooding into or pushed through a bunch of tunnels, all that crap that we have collected from a lifetime, all the unprocessed feelings, all the trauma, all the false belief patterns, all of the conditioning, everything that is unlike who we are as love embodied, all of that is going to be flushed and pushed out of the body through orgasmicness being the tool and the pathway for that cleansing and that purification.
So we would say it's a detox. It's a detox of mind, body, emotions, like everything, allowing all the toxins to get out of your body so you can actually experience vitality and health.
Exactly. So it's interesting because a lot of people think, well, if I'm not orgasmic, then I don't really feel like having sex, or I'm not in the mood. Well, orgasmicness, the state of that energetic activation, is what's going to rebalance the body to create orgasmicness as the natural state in the body. So I oftentimes will say, and this is a sentence that I say often and repeatedly: sex is medicine. And we really don't have an understanding of that in our society. We think that sex is just about pleasure, which it can be about pleasure, but that's not the end all. Sex is medicine, as you said, to purify us emotionally, spiritually, to cleanse the physical body. I mean, we're talking about something that is so potent energetically, so potent. And let me just pause right there and say this, that for a lot of people, what I'm saying will not be their experience because we don't know what sex is. The only thing that we know is what we've seen in Hollywood movies, in porn, what Aunt Susie taught us, what the men learn in the locker room. That is not what sex is. So obviously having sex mimicking what we see in porn is not going to create the experiences that I'm speaking about. But when we understand the art of energetic lovemaking, now we're talking about what I would even call an energy work. The healing modality and the medicinal part of sex is rooted in the energetic connection, which generates a tremendous amount of energy in the body, which then becomes the medicine and the healing modality.
Yeah, and it makes sense, Sasha, because it's like when you get together in the act of sex, you want to conceive. You want to conceive a child, but to get to that space, a clearing needs to happen to be able to be ready to embrace a new soul in your body. But also it's like in the sex, during that act, we can actually create a shift in our own being, but we can also create or manifest something in our lives. So it's a space of creation. And when we need to create, when we are in a creative space, we kind of need to be in the flow. And I think when energy's stuck, you're not in the flow to create. So that's why for me, sex, is medicine, because we get into that space where it flows.
Sexual energy is definitely the most potent creative energy on the planet. It is that which gives birth to everything. And we're not only talking about sexual energy from a place of the sexual energy in a human body. Everything that is created, everything that is birthed on this planet, to the stars, the trees, all the nature here goes through a sexual alchemy. It is birthed through a form of sexual energy. Literally everything that exists is sexual. And think about that for a moment, because sex, or sexuality, sexual energy has become so taboo. So the fact that we are unable to have honest, natural conversations about this topic, the fact that there's no information available that is really natural and in alignment of what we should be learning about sex, really shows you how a slave culture has been created to disempower people, because this is a power that we're talking about. If we deny people to know about sex in the truest way, not through porn, but in the magic that it carries, we are robbing them of the powerful tool that life gifted them with. And when we look at our planet, of course, we are a culture of a bunch of disempowered people. And this sex has been weaponized by the powers that be. Sex has been one of the greatest tools for controlling, disempowering, and enslaving people. Because like I said, we're talking about something that is so powerful, so creative, has the ability to bring solutions to any problem. And so when you rob people of that, you also rob them of their capacity to be connected to an enormous amount of self-love in a natural way. And I want to explain what that means. When we have sex energetically, the energy that runs through our body, that's our divine spirit, that's God. So when we make love naturally, again, I'm emphasizing not the porn way, naturally, how the body intended it, we are now allowing for this essential energy, our own essence, to course through our bodies, letting it be heard, felt, and experienced by us. So the experience for an individual like that is we have a closer connection to our own spirit, to our own desires, to clarity, to allowing the spirit to be a navigating force for us in our lives. So the way you would disempower people is take away their sex. Why? Because you take away their love with it. Love is, this is a physical expression of love. That's what sex ought to be. That's what it really is. So you pull them away from something that when we in our society, and I'm with everybody on this planet in the same pool of living in a sick society where we have our grumpy days. So when we have those grumpy days, we have this beautiful gift available to us that reconnects us to our love, to our sweetness, to our softness, to our compassion, to what it means to be human. So now we don't have access to that. And we also don't have access to the wisdom and the insights of that essential energy that runs through us to help us navigate through our life. Think about how much conditioning we take on from the day that we arrive to this incarnation. From the day that we get here, we are told what to do, how to do, when to do. There's really not much room for us to know, what do I desire? What do I want for my life? And so we end up, as I see so many people, and I have so many clients, that I converse with in a deep way. Most of humans' lives are based in comparison to status quo, comparison to what their parents want, comparison to what their partners want. It's all the time trying to fit yourself into a small box. And hardly ever do they take the time to just feel and ask themselves, what does this spirit want? And again, it's, we're talking about sex. Yeah, it brings pleasure. But for me, pleasure in sex and orgasm in sex is like a natural byproduct of this incredible tool that we have for spiritual development, for clearing psychic toxicity, for healing physical ailments out of the body. And that's another topic that we didn't just mention. But again, what are physical ailments? What are these physical dis-eases in the body? Well, they're blockages of energy. So when we utilize this energetic way of making love, now that energy, just like you said, purifies the body. So that energy is going to purify and unblock where there's been stagnation, where there's tension, and the root of disease.
Which the root of disease, like going a little bit back to that, recently I talked to this lady and she was really concerned because she has this end goal of how feeling sexual or sexual power is. So I think also there's like a lack of information of what really being empowered in your sexuality is, because if I think of sexual power, I automatically go to that narrative of like sexual powers having high libido and wanted to be horny all day and wanted to be available for sex. But that's not sexual power. So my question to you, because I think that's part of what creates a disease, like that misunderstanding of what sexual power is.
Well, for one, what you just described about how people have these ideas about, well, I have to be horny all the time and I have to do such and such and such and such. Again, deprogramming. Again, we watch porn, and what do those women in porn do? They show how totally, quote, horny they are and how much they love having sex all the time. And I mean, I think that humans are intelligent enough to know that they're acting and that that's not real. And a lot of them are intoxicated on substances just to get by doing the job that they have chosen to do for that moment in their life. But it's so far from reality. And so what is sexual expression? The best way that I can explain it and almost do it in such a way that a lot of people may not even understand what I'm saying. Being sexually empowered is being a free human. Now, what do I mean by that? Sexually empowered people cannot be controlled. Sexually empowered people are those people that allow themselves to feel their energy moving through the body, feeling the pleasure of that vibrancy, of that aliveness, and giving themselves the freedom to act or not act on what they feel. To be natural with their expression. And that's something that we see very rarely. You know, we think that a sexually liberated woman is the one that wears a short skirt and, you know, shows off her cleavage and all of that. And from my experience, the women that do that are oftentimes very insecure. Some of them never had an orgasm in their life. That doesn't say anything about how sexually liberated or how freely expressive they are in their sexuality. So it doesn't matter what you wear. It doesn't matter what you look like. What matters is how much you allow for sex to move through your body and for you to allow yourself to feel and enjoy it.
So you would say sexual power is that inner freedom liberation. To return yourself to this natural state of being a free woman or free man with this awareness to make choices according to your inner aliveness and your energy and not according to the influence of external narratives or beliefs.
Yes. Now, let me also emphasize a few things based on how you expressed it. That can look like someone that speaks their truth. That may look like someone that really honors their spirit and only acts and does things that they want to do in all areas of life, but also including in sex. I mean, think about how many people can pretend to be empowered in business, pretend to be empowered in certain aspects of their life, and then they get into a room with another human and completely disregard what feels good to them, what doesn't feel good to them, what they're willing to do, what they don't want to do. So a free person or a sexually liberated person, which is one and the same for me, is an individual that lives naturally and in accordance with their spirit at all times. So that literally means that if I want to make love in a moment, I'm not thinking about, that I need to be a good girl. I'm not thinking about what's right, what's wrong. I'm not bringing any moral part into it. I'm allowing myself to express the raw energy that feels and expresses itself through me. And if there's a moment when there's an orgy happening in the room and I have nothing in my internal energy that wants to participate in that I follow that guidance.
Not the pressure of the room or the influence or, like you say, the morality of I'm not participating, I'm not good enough. And I think also to touch...
What kind of freedom would that be?
It's not.
And that's what I find that for a lot of people, even in the Tantra community, you know, it's like they leave this whole monogamy version of societal conditioning, and then they jump into the same conditioning, same cultural conditioning on the Tantra side, possibly about free love and how horny you should be and how sexual you should be. But it's all just, again, ideas. What happened to you honoring your own natural expression of self? And think about that. Yourself is sex on two legs. Yourself is a bundle of sexual energy. You honor your own expression. You honor your sexual expression.
And honoring the sexual expression, like you said, it's like we tend to jump from one box to the other box. And the whole idea is to dismantle those boxes and really
find you.
Find you. But I mean, returning to sex energy, I mean, for me, it's something I would like for your insight on this. It's about also when you feel sexual, when you feel that orgasmic energy, it doesn't look a certain way. So what would be the natural expression of energy? How many colors or tones or qualities does this energy have? Because then it's like sex is supposed to feel in my body in a certain wave. You know, it would be a heat of wave or like a pulse, like high intensity pulsations, convulsions, but it's not necessarily that way. Sometimes it's very subtle. So what could you say about the movement of that energy?
It's pleasure of feeling. So you ought to watch me wash dishes. You ought to watch me walk on the beach. You know, and I'm saying it like that because when a person really understands and enjoys their sex, the way they eat, the way they walk, the way they sweep the floors, all becomes a pleasurable experience. And I started with that, but then if you also watch an individual make love that can enjoy the water and the soap and the plate and the sensual expression of washing a dish, if they can do that, then enjoying the sensations of the body, the sensuality, it literally sounds and feels like and when an individual starts to really be in their body in sex, not only do you feel it there, but you will feel that washing a plate. I'm telling you, as funny as it sounds, because we are pleasure and we shut ourselves down all the time. And I also want to make a side note, because there are individuals that I could have sex with and none of those sounds would want to come out of me. So this isn't about you judging yourself and thinking, what is wrong with me? This is the thing that when I work with women, I hear this all the time. They come to me saying, I can't have an orgasm. What is wrong with me? I don't enjoy sex. And when we start to dig a little bit deeper into the conversation, I'm like, sweetheart, you're not supposed to enjoy that. There's nothing wrong with you. The intelligence of your body is clearly not enjoying things that it's not supposed to enjoy. So it's, as I said, you know, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of confusion, and really a lack of naturalness around the topic for people to start to explore and share around it, to understand. And it's perpetuated with strategy. It's really perpetuated with strategy. Like I said, it's you weaponize sex in this way of making it taboo, and then on the other side, making it perverse. You rob people of this magic, this tool, this medicine that would empower them tremendously in a lifetime.
Plus, you bring also the taboo of being in your body. It's like we've been programmed to be in our minds, and that our mind is the value, and that creates a bigger disconnection from our sexuality, because then plus that, we are not in our bodies. So my question to you is, those all embodied practices like martial arts or yoga, what's the missing link? Because I did yoga for 20 years or 15 years before getting into Tantra and really owning my sexuality. So what is that it's missing, that when you're in a body full relaxation in yoga, you embrace all your body except your sex?
I don't do that, but I hear you.
No, but you know, people who go to yoga or like are starting to connect with their bodies, you know, because it's a process.
Yes. Like I said, you know, when we make a particular topic be so taboo, and there's also so much stigma, you know, and because we're two women speaking, I'll kind of address more of the female side of the equation, but so many women have been taught to be good girls. And that's one part. The other part is that women don't enjoy their bodies. We're from day one taught that there's something wrong with how we look. So for most women, sometimes it's more extreme, sometimes it's more subtle, but in one way or another, there is this ever-present self-hatred, dare I say, toward our bodies. There's always something that we're trying to fix, or something that we don't like, something that we're criticizing and judging. So of course it's going to be hard for you to feel and enjoy your body when you're all the time, quote, not enjoying it. And not enjoying it not because it's unable to be a pleasure for you, but because we spend so much time being so hard on ourselves that how could we possibly enjoy something that we reject? So there's so many aspects to why people have such a hard time being in their body. And just like you had touched on a few things, there's so many reasons to why we leave the body. And it's all, as I said, strategically placed there. And it's not just, let me start off by saying this. All of us carry trauma. No one wants to feel the trauma that they have in their body. They're spending a lifetime running from it. All of us don't express our feelings. No one wants to get in their body to feel all these feelings that they've shut down and hid. No one wants to confront the false beliefs that they have acquired from outside of themselves about who they are, which are oftentimes on the negative side. No one wants to be there to feel how unworthy they feel, how insecure they are, how not good enough they are. No one wants to get in the body to feel that. But sweetheart, that is the journey to the other side. And that's how we've been tricked. You know, we are perpetually kept busy with so many things. It's like we're given tools all the time to leave, to distract ourselves. So we spend a lifetime of doing that, where we can just get in there, feel through all the garbage that we've collected that has nothing to do with who we are. It's just other people's garbage, society's garbage. Feel through that. And on the other side, we get to our godliness. We get to our pleasure. We get to the beauty of who we are. You know, so many women struggle with wanting to be beautiful. Why do you have to want to be beautiful when you are beauty embodied? It doesn't matter how you think you look and how it compares to these photoshopped, face-tuned images. Beauty is the energy that people carry. Beauty is what children emanate. It's purity, it's authenticity, it's compassion, it's unconditionalness. That's what makes a human stunningly beautiful. And so when we can slow down to feel ourselves, to connect with our bodies, yeah, it's not going to be pretty at first because we haven't lived pretty lives in this society. But if we are courageous enough to feel through that stuff, on the other side, we discover how exquisite we really are. So yeah, women, men too, they try to jump over their sex. there's a lot of pain that women carry, and that men, we haven't even talked about men, but a lot of men that carry shame and trauma and guilt and a whole lot of stuff that blocks them from really enjoying their sex. Because just because men are ejaculating does not mean that they're having deep pleasure. Something's happening for a moment, and they think, well, something happened, that must be all there is. And no, we're all being robbed of pleasure, all of us. It's just that for a man, he can rub a certain part of his body enough for something to happen. And for a woman, rubbing just creates irritation. She really needs energy. And I always say, it's actually a blessing that women are so not orgasmic in our day and age, because we are the ones that are going to uplift the quality of sex. If we could have orgasms as easily, these so-called orgasms, these few second orgasms equivalent to a man's ejaculation, then we would just think that's all it is. We're having sex. That's it. So I feel it's like literally life blessing women to not be satisfied with rubbing, so that they can be the ones that start to explore sex in a much deeper way, craving more, knowing there's more, because they are going to be the ones that pull the men to a whole other level of pleasure and experience that men may never have the opportunity to explore if it wasn't for the woman saying, I need more of something. This is not enough for me.
Because it is not.
Because it is not. And it's just, sex nowadays is really lacking love. At the end of the day, I don't even feel that humans are looking for pleasure. Or let me put it another way. We're looking for pleasure, but how we define pleasure is very different from what is told to us.
Yes.
Pleasure is. We're looking for connection. We're looking for somebody that can see us, to be seen, to be felt, to be experienced. We're looking for love. And it's not just women, it's men too. They want to be seen. My goodness, do men want to be seen? Because nowadays in our society, everything is about the woman, and men are just getting completely neglected and looked at as the rapists, the historic rapists. The black guy. They're looked at as they're really being judged.
Yes.
And not really having the space to be acknowledged in their own pain, their own trauma, their own issues and challenges that they face. So humans are humans. This whole idea of the women and men being at odds with one another, is another weaponized strategy to disempower us. Because us uniting as a humanity, men and women together, is an unstoppable force. We have qualities that complement one another so incredibly, so intelligently, that when we harmonize with the other sex, with the other gender, we can do magic together. And so at the end of the day, we're humans. And these humans need appreciation, respect, love, honor, sometimes in their own version, what women look for and what men look for, but at the end of the day, we're all human.
Me encanta platicarles acerca de Orgasmic, y me han preguntado que qué significa Orgasmic, esa palabra, que si tiene algo que ver con la yoga o demás. Y esta palabra a mí me encanta y surgió en una plática con mi hermano Diego, porque precisamente yo le explicaba que ser orgásmico en tu día a día es esta capacidad que tenemos de conectarnos con este pulso de vida, con este glow, con este brillo que todos tenemos, que se imaginara que fuera como un botón que puedo prender cuando yo quiero y cambiar mi estado del ser para que todas estas cualidades de el placer, el entusiasmo, la creatividad, la salud, las ganas de conectar con otros de corazón, pues surjan a la superficie, y es precisamente lo que significa ser yo orgásmico, vivir en este estado permanente o la mayor parte del tiempo posible, donde estoy conectada con mi esencia, donde estoy conectado con quien soy y lo que quiero crear en el mundo. Y en Orgasmic precisamente tenemos blogs, meditaciones, cursos en línea, tenemos también el libro El futuro del sexo, para que lleven su experiencia, quiten su tabú de ver la palabra sexo, y que cuando lean el libro van a entender la importancia de asomarnos por la ventana de la sexualidad para que nos lleve a nuestra esencia, porque el sexo es vida y nosotros venimos de ahí. So if we see the energy and the narratives that are thrown to us about let's have fear of being in our body because there's something wrong with us, plus fear about our sex because that's not what I want, what I see in porn, what they have told us. Then plus I have fear of men and men have fear of women. How can we start creating this safe space in my body, in my container, in my emotions, to be open and actually explore the connection with myself, with spirit, and then with the other?
Well, let me start off by saying this. It's interesting to listen to you list off the narrative that's being told to us, because as you list it, I keep saying to all those things, no, that's not my experience. That's not my experience either. I'm not scared of men. I don't feel they're scared of me. I don't feel that I should be scared to be in my body. So the first step is for you to look at this list and ask yourself, does it make sense? And even if there's a frequency and a resonance with, I'm scared of being in my body, does it make sense for me to be scared to be in my body? And the answer intelligently will be, of course not. So now I'm already open to the journey of exploration. The journey of exploration. Because the moment that I tell myself, that doesn't make sense, let me see what it looks like. Let me see what it feels like. Let me get inside of here and experience this. Let me look at that man's eyes and smile at him at the store, because I actually know we're all just human and I'm not scared of him. He shouldn't be scared of me. We're just two humans having a connection and a moment together. Let me see what that looks like. And chances are, when you do those things, life will reward you with magic. Meaning, you smile at that man at the store, he looks back. Men are so insecure also. Women think that if they smile at a man, that men are just going to hunt them down. Most men are scared to even say hi. So if you allow yourself to have a moment with another human, you will walk down the street with a smile on your face. This is what we are missing in our society. We hide in our phones. We put on a face of, I'm all that, even though I feel like I'm nothing. I put on a bitch face, even though I'm starving.
Invisible.
Yeah, it's like we're all starving for something, and our actions are everything to bring us in the completely different direction of what we desire. You know, I hear this all the time from women. They are starving to have a man in their life, to have male presence in their life. And the way they act in the presence of men, I'm just like, girl, you really think that you're going to attract and draw a man to you when you are doing everything to say to them with your body, stay away from me?
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is a deep conditioning, because we have been taught ideas. Men have been taught ideas about how women are manipulative, they're not trustful, they're angry, they're emotional. They have ideas, they don't want to get involved. And women have their own ideas about men, that they could be abusive and they're cheaters and they're also distrustful. So it's like we're all starving for connection, hoping to meet a kind human, while all of us are performing being unkind. And all of us are loving humans. I mean, that's what's so crazy. everybody is so kind, so loving internally. They have the most beautiful feelings because they share them with me. You know, when I do consultations, it's like the hearts of humans are so beautiful and so pure. But then what they do in the world is like they hide their beauty and they show off a manufactured ugly side of them because, again, that's what we're told is cool. Think about movies, you know? Think about how they portray women being in movies with this attitude, and I get what I want, and I lead, and I just stomp on people's hearts, like as if that's a beautiful thing. And then you have music videos, and I'm sharing that with you because I don't watch TV, and just the other day on YouTube, something popped up and I was like, I didn't even know who the artist was, but these are artists that have like 1 billion views. I'm like, okay, definitely famous. And the way they're being portrayed, what they're showing is ugliness, pure ugliness. When it comes to this sexual expression that is all manufactured, is basically watching music videos is like watching pornography with a little bit of clothes on, because most of them are wearing G-strings, you know? And the attitude, and this is what we do in our day-to-day. We have forgotten to be transparent, to be vulnerable, we have forgotten that compassion, kindness, and lovingness is beautiful and powerful. We somehow have this idea that it's weak and not the way to attract a man. Are you kidding me? This is why there's so many divorces. This is why people are on Tinder instead of with partners where they're being nurtured and they're being loved, because there is a lack of vulnerability and transparency. It has become cool to be ugly, and it has become uncool to be a loving human. And that is so backwards and so wrong. And the only way to change that is, again, use your own intelligence. Start asking yourself, does this make sense? When you go on the exploration, of self, on the exploration of life, following the wisdom of your own intelligence, you will be met with so much beauty.
And I think, like you say, the awareness and starting to question ourselves, it's crucial, because if we don't do that for ourselves, we think the world is as it is, and we don't question what's happening in the world. So it's like, if I understand that I'm portraying this ugly person, like the world is portraying an ugly aspect of the world. But if you go to nature, it's the most magical, beautiful thing. And we're so disconnected with nature because we're constantly, manipulated, bombarded, and we don't question what's happening in the world. Like, we don't question, also one of my students was like, yeah, sex is this way. He just gave a statement. And I was like, have you questioned that? Like, where did you hear it the first time? Did your mom tell you, your dad, your grandmother? Did you, a high school friend? And he was like, oh, of course, it was this high school friend. And I was like, who was he? Yeah, he was a bully in school. It's like, why do you want to listen to a bully in school? And I think that's happening in the world, and how this work you're doing, the work everybody's doing on transformation, but especially with sex energy, it's crucial in this moment. So I know you have the seed of transformation, because I've been trying to go there for for a while, but it's always sold out. Thank goodness for that. So, and then I brought up the world thing because I know you're pretty active in dismantling also the ugliness of the world, which I really appreciate that in your social networks. But coming back to the seed of transformation, you go to this workshop as somebody that wants what I just heard. It's like, I want that. I want that experience. I want that feeling of aliveness. How do I do it? How do I start? Like, what happens if I go to this workshop?
Oof. What a deep question. So, whatever you just said, aliveness, transformation, coming back to your essence, coming back to orgasmicness as a natural state. It's when I first started doing this work, and I worked with men exclusively for 8 years. So I did a lot of workshops for men only about relationships, about sex, basically in a way teaching them what it means to be a man and how to be a great lover. And I remember there, when I first started doing the workshops with notes, with like all these things, and then I would start the workshop and realize like, just I have to throw everything out, because it was back to the basics every time. And the back to the basics is, if you don't know how to feel, no technique is going to make you be a great lover. If you don't know how to be in your body, to enjoy feeling yourself, you are going to miss the whole beauty and experience of life. And so Seed of Transformation is the process of using orgasmicness, using our orgasmic response and our orgasmic energy to purify the body and to bring us back to the state of love, to a state of pleasure, to a state of aliveness. And when we do that, everything else outside of ourselves changes, because our outside world is a direct reflection of our inside world. So when we remove those blockages internally, all of a sudden we get a promotion at work. All of a sudden, a new person for a beautiful, intimate relating shows up. All of a sudden, our family members change the quality of our connection with one another. You know, when we unblock the inside, the outside is also unblocked in all the places where we wish things could be a little bit more different. So Seed of Transformation is that. It's orgasmicness as a healing modality and utilizing it for that. So when people come to these workshops and also retreats, the transformation they have is very personal. I have worked with people that have been to therapy for many years and nothing worked to assist them, whether it's with their anxiety, with their depression, with whatever trauma they carry. And a session, a workshop, a retreat, something utilizing this style of energy where it creates a huge turnaround for them. And then we have people that may have been struggling with a physical ailment of some sort, and they have a huge turnaround there. And then we have people that come that have amazing, happy lives, quote, happy lives to whatever degree they measure it by, and they're coming because they want more out of life. So you really get people from all different backgrounds and all different intentions for why they come. And it just takes them to new heights and levels from wherever they are.
I have a question, because in this culture also of self-development, transformation, spirituality, I've seen along the line, being present in many workshops, that you go to a space and you feel something shifted, and then you go back to your regular life, and that thing you created, that state you created, is not sustainable. What I've seen with people who have gone to your workshops, it's the opposite. It's like they actually have the tools to sustain that orgasmicness state for longer periods of time. Like you say, we're humans, we have moments, but they know how to get out of that moment. I know you cannot tell me the secret, but
I can tell you a little bit. I can tell you a little bit of what I feel happens.
What happens, yeah.
So it's two things that I want to share. One is that a lot of people will go to a retreat or a workshop, and they get on a high from a workshop or a retreat, but not because actually things transformed. It's almost like they had such a super duper fun vacation or experience, but on a bodily level, everything stayed the same. So the way that things are sustained in this particular case is because the energy work and the energy work exercises that we do in the workshops, retreats, or if I'm doing in a private session, they literally remove garbage from the body. So it literally releases trauma. It literally unblocks places that are stagnant. So once you take those things out, you're not going back to the same old you, because you are no longer the same old you. So that's where the transformation is able to stay. Now, I do want to say this, that even with that space that's created in the work, if we go back and are very unconscious and continue to do the things that blocked us, even with what I'm doing, it's going to create a slow but steady way back to how we were. So when I work with people, I always say it's two parts, and both are very significant. It's not just energy work, it's also a lot of communication, because an individual really needs to understand their psyche, how they function, how they respond to things. What are they doing to be their own worst enemy in their life? And then once you have the energy work and the space inside of you is freed up, now you also have the tools and the understanding of what to look out for, so that you don't go back into the same patterns, to maintain that openness.
And in a conversation, I love how you describe your energy work as you jumpstart the energy. But as you say, you may jumpstart that energy, but then it's my own responsibility as a receiver of that jump start to take care of my car, for call it something.
Exactly. And that's exactly the example I always use. It's just like most people are running on a dead battery. So when your battery's dead, you need somebody with a charged up battery to jumpstart you. Now, after you got that jumpstart, all you have to do is keep your car running. And if you don't keep it running, well, the battery's going to die again, and you may need another jumpstart. And sometimes that happens for people, where they may want to get another jumpstart. But it's really up to you. And if you do the maintenance, it's yours. You don't need to be jump started all the time. Now the energy is yours. You just have to maintain it.
It's pretty interesting because I love to see your videos that you have in YouTube where you actually have demos, and I presence a couple of demos live where you jumpstart that energy, and just the shift you see in it is magnificent. Just like the face, the glow. What's the response of people when they see this demo? Because it's something that it might be like a little sci-fi, because we're not used to be free in expressing our energy with our body. So what's the response you have?
I feel that, because I have some video clips on YouTube, for the mainstream YouTube community specifically, I definitely see that when people see that, they think it's fake. They literally think that it's a performance. And it's interesting for me because it's such a perfect example of how unnatural we have become, that something so natural, like the experiences in the videos, are looked at as something impossible or supernatural.
Or manufactured.
Or manufactured, right? That it's, people kind of think it's fake, or they think that could never happen to me. And mind you, that whenever I do demos, I always do it on somebody that has never had an experience with me before, because I always want people to see, I will literally take a volunteer from an audience, from a group, and they will be the demo. So it's possible for everybody. And in the workshops and retreats, everybody has an experience. So as I said, on YouTube, mainstream community that really don't know anything about me, we just, a video pops up. They think it's not real. But for the people that do have a connection to the work and do know who I am, and obviously the people that come to the workshops, they know it's possible for everybody. And everybody has an experience. And we're not talking about just some energy work. We're literally talking about our capacity to have full body orgasms for extended periods of time without ever having physical contact, physical touch. And I know it sounds mind-blowing for a lot of people, but I mean, I have to really think about how people perceive this, because it's such a normal part of my life that I forget how people perceive it. But it's natural.
That's where I come in, Sasha, with my book, The Future of Sex, where you can read and understand with your mind that is possible. Because,
Yes.
I mean, it is possible and it is beautiful. And I just want to finish our podcast with that sense of like supernatural. And like you say, we are natural beings that are disconnected with our natural abilities to express, to feel, to be us authentically. So when we see something so authentic, it gets twisted. It's like, that's not possible, but then sci-fi, it's possible, right? And what's going on with G5 and what's going on with like Spaceship to Mars, you know, and something so natural, so there, that response, that if that response would be imagine like an energy porn hub or something like that, where you get so many times, then it would be the natural norm.
You just mentioning Pornhub, it's funny because I just picture people that go on that website, and when they watch the sex that is offered through that website, they think that is normal. That is how sex is. And that's the manufactured version. And then if they saw a full body orgasm of an individual with touch or even without touch, they would go, oh, this is manufactured and fake.
Exactly.
And it is completely backwards. And what I would really invite for everybody to do is experience and explore for yourself, you know, and obviously life will never limit you, so there's different ways to explore that. But for those of you that want to jump on opportunity, there's many ways that I offer different experiences for people, and you can have that experience for yourself. And once you know it, that's your truth, that's your wisdom. You don't have to question it, you don't have to judge it. You will know the potential of your body and what you're capable of experiencing as a human with a birthright to pleasure and orgasmicness.
I love it.
And Kari, in fact, I'm going to be doing a retreat. I don't know when you're planning to put out this podcast, so I hope we still have spaces by the time you put it out. But I'm going to be doing a retreat in Tulum that's scheduled for October. We just booked the venue.
Amazing.
So I haven't publicized the information quite yet, but it will definitely be available by the time this podcast is public, and hopefully there'll be space for your audience.
Yes, for all of you, like seriously, I might join you as well, because even though I practice the orgasmic method, which has a similar concept. It's so beautiful, like to meet a woman I admire, I honor, because I saw you, I see you, you know, and there's always a doorway to go deeper into your pleasure. So for those of you that are listening that, oh, I already know that, or I've been to a workshop, it's never the same. It's never the same, because it's just another opportunity to dive deeper into this orgasmicness and this pleasure, with different energies, with a different approach, because we're all unique. So if you have a chance, please go to SashaCobra.com, SashaCobra.com. Please like navigate the website, see what she offers. Like she's so amazing. And then, you know, we have the Tulum retreat in October, and check out her Seed of Transformation. And the best thing is she does Zoom or Skype sesiones privadas for all of those of you who want the experience.
Y porque también trabajo con energía por el Skype, por el Zoom, ¿no? Y eso es muy interesante porque también tenemos una idea que necesitamos trabajar tocando una persona, como haciendo bodywork, y que la gente no puede imaginar cómo efectivo un trabajo de cuerpo se puede hacer con energía, no importa en qué parte del mundo están, no importa. Y aparte es posible, para trabajar energéticamente con mucha gente al mismo tiempo. También yo empecé un como servicio offering que se llama Energy Tune, donde estoy creando esas experiencias energéticas, orgásmicas, para gente que están en distintos lugares del mundo, todo en el mismo tiempo. Como, no me puedo imaginar que voy a decir esto, pero en Argentina se dicen haciendo pelota a todos.
Sí.
Yo aprendí a hablar en Argentina, así que...
Oye, hablas impresionantemente bien español, Sasha.
Mucho mejor de cuando te conocí la primera vez.
Sí,
Sí,
pero
eso es
bueno,
cierto.
digo, la práctica de tener una pareja que habla español,
Sí, sí.
algo bueno tiene.
Pero igual muy agradecida de que voy a hablar en inglés porque así me sale mucho más fluido y me puedo expresar mucho más fácil. Así
Sí.
que
No, pero me
gracias.
encanta que al menos nos platicaste un poquitito en español, porque
Sí.
tiene otra dulzura, otra cualidad
Sí.
diferente. Y Sasha, gracias por estar aquí. I really, like from my heart, I appreciate you. I admire what
Oh,
you're
thank
doing in
you.
the world, and your work is incredible. And I'm looking forward to learn from you. So hopefully I'll be there at your retreat in October. Este octubre, su retiro en Tulum. Qué mejor.
Sí,
Mejor lugar.
sí. No, va a estar impresionante. Estoy muy feliz para esto. Y estás muy bienvenida y toda tu comunidad también. Es un trabajo muy hermoso, de verdad, muy transformador.
Sí.
Okay, let's go back to English.
Yeah.
It's very, very transformative, the work, and I feel that all of us are looking for a transformation, not just for our own individual lives. It's like the world, the global world is looking for a transformation. And as crazy as things look, as you mentioned, I'm very active with spreading truth around the world with all the deception going on in our society. But with all of this darkness that is happening in the world, light is coming through all of that. And we're in a process of shining even brighter and brighter. So it's this kind of work, these kinds of conversations that help to emanate more and more light. So, Cari, un placer. Thank you for having me here to share with you and with your community. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you.
Y hoy quiero hablarles acerca de los boosts, que son estas prácticas de entre 5 y 10 minutos, que son una mezcla de distintas técnicas que apoyan el movimiento energético, la relajación, apertura y vibración. Cuando creamos con los atributos del cuerpo, todas las cualidades de la creatividad y el placer surgen de nuestro sistema y producen ideas, bienestar y un fluir energético. Y estas 9 prácticas, que las pueden conseguir en karinavelasco.com, tienen el boost activo, que es para activar tu energía, eficiencia y motivación, el boost de relajación, el boost del corazón, para abrir nuestro corazón y suavizar cualquier emoción, el dance boost, que es para darle un boost a tu estado de ánimo y mover tu cuerpo, el orgasmic boost, que es un recordatorio de tu valor y tu amor propio, el grounding boost, que es aterrizarnos para conectar con nuestro cuerpo, dándole un descanso a nuestra mente, el boost de respiración, que muchas veces solo necesitamos respirar 3 minutos para cambiar nuestro estado del ser, y el boost de sanación, que nos ayuda a restaurar y rejuvenecer el cuerpo, cerrando con un boost de integración, que nos ayuda después de un día largo o una junta o una conferencia o aprender algo nuevo, porque estamos integrando con toda la capacidad de nuestros sentidos. Y estos boosts los puedes conseguir en karinavelasco.com, y también tenemos la música en yourgasmic.com para que tengas estas meditaciones y pongas en práctica la meditación que tanto necesitamos, sobre todo en estos tiempos todos nosotros, para alinear y estar en balance.